Come on, Leaf. You always do something special for your Gotta Review 'em All videos. You can't just let this one just be some ho-hum middle-of-the-road review.
I know, Jerry, I know. But, in all honesty, I had never intended for the Gotta Review 'em All series to be as special as it turned out to be. Everything that happened was basically just an elaborate series of coincidences.
So you're telling me that introducing Cabbage for the second movie, getting a guest star to play Professor Oak for the third movie, and everything you've done for every movie since then has all just been coincidence, eh? Nothing special about any of them.
Coincidence or not, we can't drop the ball now. We gotta do something special for this.
What in the what?
Whoa, holy!
Ah, not this again. I am the Kid Movie Ninja.
What in the name of crap was... Hi, Internet!
And welcome to Kid Movie Ninja with your hosts, Fighting Leaf and Husky the Wolf.
Fighting Leaf and Puppet. It is I, Arceus, the great Pokemon deity.
What in my crap?
Oh look, a guest star.
I presume you know why I have called you here.
No.
You want us to review a Pokemon movie?
I mean, yeah.
Precisely. Your reactions to the last two films concerned me a great deal, Ninja. I have come here in order to teach you a lesson on critique, one that I feel you sadly lack. You have said yourself that you are primarily a reviewer of narrative, and you have proven competent at character analysis. But there is one thing you lack, the art of spectacle.
You know how many movies suck because they focus so much on spectacle?
When movies focus on spectacle, they ignore things like plot and character development, and that makes for a bad movie. Also, the special effects in the Pokemon movies have not been anything to write home about.
Do not be so quick to judge, Ninja. Today I shall send you a film that will open your eyes. Pokemon Heroes, the movie.
Okay then.
Why this one? You're not even in it.
Do not talk back to a god, Puppet. Review the film and experience enlightenment.
Fine, whatever, we're doing it. Welcome everyone to the first episode of Gotta Review 'em All in Forever. So let's not waste any more time and get right into Pokemon Heroes the movie.
Get this. This movie starts off with something that no other Pokemon film has ever had until now. Are you ready? An explanation of what Pokemon actually are!
World of Pokemon.
This is not the first time this has happened.
Eh?
This is frame for frame the same introduction we got from Pokemon Forever.
Really? What a rip-off!
Are you so certain? Just because you've seen it before, does that make it off limits? Are the Star Wars films any less for using a simple text crawl at the beginning of their films to describe events the viewer will never actually see?
That's a different set of circumstances, and you know it. How you know it is a different question entirely.
If you say so. Keep that question in mind regardless as you watch all the same.
Oh, better do as he says, Leaf. Big fat brother is watching you!
Just keep interruptions to a minimum. The movie proper begins in an old library in the middle of the night. A pair of burglars named Annie and Oakley...
Get it! I don't. Who the heck is Annie Oakley?
Google it. Are stealing a book containing secrets to the legendary Pokemon duo Latios and Latias, as well as something called the Soul Dew, which is supposed to power some kind of ultimate weapon.
In the video games, the Soul Dew is responsible for boosting the special attack. Did Cabbage just get stepped on by a god?
The ninja did say to keep interruptions to a minimum.
You know, something tells me we just might get along after all.
And of course, these are the types of thieves who want people to chase them when they pull a job. So they're sure to intentionally leave evidence of their actions wherever they go, like a couple of morons.
When your motives are thrill-seeking and not much else, stupid things like this are inevitable. Anyway, they managed to get away with the book when their car does that.
After that, it's time for the obligatory battle scene where we hear the theme song and watch Ash catch him. Where's the battle? This isn't a battle. Wait, we're starting off with a race? As in something different from the past 5 movies? Awesome!
It is a bit refreshing to see something slightly different this time around, and this race is kind of exciting. Also, Ash's friend Misty, the water trainer, is given something to do here as well. This place is called Altimar, clearly modeled off of Venice, Italy, only with presumably less toxic waterways. But it still serves the same function as battles did in the other movies, which is to pad out the film with what is essentially an advertisement for—
Hold, Ninja! For keeping interruptions to a minimum, you really suck at it! Have you never said that the opening credits is becoming a lost art?
I have, but this isn't the way to—
And I specifically recall in your Unico review that you are quite fond of hand-painted backgrounds.
That is very clearly CGI.
What about that? And that? And that? And those textures on the CGI? How do you think they were made? Besides, does a spectacle require the highest-end special effects to be worth looking at? Are there no qualities other than the limits of modern technology which define what can stand the test of time and what cannot?
You have a point you're trying to get to, so hurry up.
The last couple of Pokemon films have left you cynical. Serve your duty as a critic and look first for the good.
Fine, Mom. Well, I suppose it is nice to see a series of films bothering with opening credits anyway. And all throughout the race, we see the village of Altimar coming to life around us.
We even get to see a pair of invisible Pokemon, clearly Latios and Latias, flying around, creating mounting sense of mystery at the same time. So, I guess this is probably the best opening credit sequence out of any Pokemon movies to date. We even get to see some dumb things happen to Team Rocket. Ah, that'll teach you to eat food!
Sadly, like the other introductions, it is a little too long, and after a while you kind of want something else to happen.
Is there a problem?
I just said something critical about the movie. Isn't this the part where you're supposed to chime in and tell me how wrong I am?
I am not here to give blind praise where it is not merited, nor am I here for the film itself. I am here for your sake. Our sake? How? Keep reviewing the film. All will become clear.
It'd better.
Lo and behold, though, something different does eventually happen. Ash spins out of control and is saved from crashing into a wall by the unseen Latias. From there, Latias grabs hold of Ash's Totodile, that blue thing that's been pulling his, floaty half meatball thing, and tugs him super fast back to the front of the race.
What in the world's gotten into you, Totodile?
He's a brick! Head!
But at the last second, the other Pokemon, Latios, decides to grab Latias and veer off course, losing Ash the race anyway. What a jerk. All the while, Ash has no idea what really happened.
It's okay, Totodile. Everybody makes a wrong turn once in a while.
That's one thing I've always been able to admire about Ash Ketchum's character. Yes, he wants to be the very best Pokemon master the world has ever seen, more than anything ever. But he's always proven to be a very good loser as well.
That's right, loser.
Not that kind!
See, one of my favorite parts of the show growing up was the fact that victory was never guaranteed. Sometimes Ash would not come out on top and he would have to deal with the consequences of losing. And so, in a sense, both winning and losing contributed to Ash's progress to becoming the greatest Pokemon master.
Sorry for that little tangent, folks. Back to this. Turns out this time around, it's Misty who takes home the prize.
She and Brock do nothing of significance for the rest of the movie. Well, sort of. You'll see. Anyway, I think it's parts like this that Arceus wants me to focus on. We see Latios and Latias flying past a lit window, momentarily interfering with their cloaking powers. I should go on a rant about how improbable it is that these creatures were able to remain hidden all this time given the limits of their cloaking abilities, but I have a feeling that that's not what's really important here.
So what, are we just gonna throw logic out the window?
Well, great Pokemon of Judgment, should we?
This is the fictional world of Pokemon. Your world's logic already does not apply here. Why do you think they put that in the film? What does it add?
Let's get back to the movie before this ends up longer than the Lego Movie review.
After the race, Ash and crew get a free waterway tour of Altimar since Misty won and everything, where they hear the story of the Guardians of Altimar, Latios and Latias. But man, look at these establishing shots!
Yes, it's quite clear that someone went through a lot of trouble to make this movie look nice. But there's trouble afoot as a little spybot goes, "Oh boy, CGI crap. You were doing so well for a while, movie." Anyway, Annie and Oakley from the beginning of the movie are trying to track down Latios and Latias, who could apparently take on other forms before Zoroark made it cool.
Fortunately for the bad guys, chicks, dudes, whatever, these Pokemon apparently have lower body temperatures than humans. How do they know that? I have no idea, but I think that big book they found might actually just be the movie script.
Actually, most Pokemon do have a lower body temperature than... You're very heavy!
They drive past Team Rocket, who tell us that Annie and Oakley are, in fact, spies for the Team Rocket leader Giovanni. And did nothing else of importance again. Say what you will about the first two movies, but Team Rocket at least served a point in those.
In all the other movies, it's just like, hey, we're in the movie, and we're blasting off again!
It is a little bit frustrating because while we know it's probably not easy balancing that many characters, we have seen them do it before. We know they can.
So after that bit of exposition, we rejoin Ash and crew after their tour, where they meet this weirdo. Personal boundaries, please!
Well, that was weird, but the moment is past, as we rejoin the strange girl who ran off on her own. Shock of all shocks, however, it turns out that Annie and Oakley have their sights on her because she is none other than Latias in disguise.
So that must be Latias.
Is she kidding with that hairstyle?
Kinda what I was thinking, actually.
The two bad guys send out their own Pokemon to give chase, and Ash's Pikachu hears danger, and Ash runs after him to check. Oh, did you see that? Did you? He turned off the water before running off! Truly the paragon of humanity!
Ash catches up to the ruckus to find the Latias girl tied up in webbing. It is officially hero time.
That was a dirty trick.
Huh. Would have thought that'd have done more damage than that.
Well, he's regularly hit by fire and water and electricity in the show, so this is probably nothing.
That's a good point. Do humans level up in this world like Pokemon do?
So Pikachu starts blasting away at the baddies with his Thunderbolt, giving our heroes a chance to escape. What follows is a chase scene with... oh, my head!
Don't worry, they break up the CGI bits with more traditional animation from time to time. In fact, CGI is used rather sparingly in this part, all things considered. The chase does drag on a little longer than it probably should, but take a moment to look around while it plays out. You see people going about their lives, lovely architecture, and all of it comes together to make this place feel alive, like they're running through a real city. That's what you wanted me to notice, right? How this movie is actually quite beautiful when viewed from an artistic point of view?
All parts of the experience must be taken into account, but I would rather you not take that tone with me, ninja.
I would listen. I would most certainly...
The Latias girl eventually brings Ash right back to where they started from before disappearing into thin air.
From there, they rejoin their friends and continue on with their day at the Altimar Museum, where they learn a few more tidbits about the story of Latios and Latias.
See those fossils? Apparently those were once Pokemon who terrorized the place under the orders given by an evil trainer a long time ago.
This story will make less and less sense as it progresses.
Some fat guy with a beard shows them the DMA, or Defense Mechanism of Altimar. It doesn't actually work since it's got nothing to power it, so it's just there.
So everyone lived in fear until Latios came and brought water to the town, drowning the evil Pokemon and turning our streets into canals.
That doesn't make any sense. Cabbage, tell him why.
My spleen!
Jared, tell him why!
You got it, Leaf. This is Aerodactyl, the rock-flying type Pokemon. It has been well established in the TV show that any kind of contact with water does damage rock Pokemon on contact. That would include rain and any way you would get water into a town in those amounts. So why it would drown Aerodactyl does make sense. However, this is Kabuto. He is part rock and part water. Being a part water Pokemon would nullify any kind of direct damage that this Pokemon would get from water-type attacks. To give you an idea, this is the Pokemon Corsola from the beginning of the movie. And guess what types this Pokemon has? That's right, rock and water. And look at how easily it's getting along in the water. So the fact that this Pokemon would have drowned in a deluge brought about by a legendary Pokemon makes absolutely no sense. Though to be fair, we do see Kabutops deliberately avoiding any kind of contact with water as though it were not part water at all. So maybe this movie just forgot that he had part water elements to him? I don't know. And speaking of elements, Arceus, I'm actually a really big fan of your work.
So after the bad Pokemon were dealt with, the people built the DMA so that nothing like that would ever happen again.
More explanations are cut short when Ash finds that Latias girl painted. She got a hat now, so he runs after her and oh no, not another one of these. This movie should just be called Pokemon Heroes, running around a lot.
Yeah! Well, that's kind of an overreaction.
What do you mean?
It's not the first time a movie has featured lots of chase scenes all in a row.
But when those movies do it, it's big and exciting.
Well, I wouldn't exactly call these dull myself. Watching a review of these types of movies is hardly the same thing as watching the movies themselves. Only hitting the highlights while glossing over the exact execution diminishes the experience. Yes, this is the third scene in 20 minutes of people running around the city in this movie, and it won't be the last. But they're shot dynamically, sprinkled with plot-relevant detail, and all help to bring the setting of Altimar to life. The film appears to be trying to make the town itself into a kind of memorable feature on top of everything else. As a matter of fact, all of the Pokemon movies have had really fancy and interesting and memorable settings to them.
Yes, but fancy settings don't make good movies.
Well, they certainly help.
Whatever. When Ash catches up to the girl, she speaks for the first time.
Why'd you disappear like that before?
I don't know you.
Yes you do. Remember? Chase scene? Like 5 minutes ago!
So after more running around and one of those rotation shots that I actually really like, he runs into the Latias girl again, this time without her hat. And I pretty much get what's going on here.
She suddenly acts like she knows him again and waves for him to follow her. Not the CGI alley again!
I get what the running sequences are trying to do, but by now they well overstay their welcome. That is, until we get a little change of scenery.
Whoa, nice mosaic thing! You know, for something that was advertised as being an action-packed thrill ride, this movie actually takes its time pretty well. They then find platform 9 3/4, which takes them to a huge freaking indoor-type greenhouse place.
Okay, Arceus, I get it. This movie has some of the best atmosphere and cinematography of any of the Pokemon movies to date. But you know what else had those things? The first movie. And look how good that turned out.
There's more to good movies than just looking pretty, you know?
You've made your point. Can you leave now?
The film is not yet over. Keep watching. Fine, but this is just a waste of time. Back to the movie, and oh boy, we got flying predators up in here!
It's okay though, because the Latios girl steps in and stops the attack. This big blue thing is Latios.
And this is Bianca, the Latias girl. Wait, there are two Latias girls?
Yep, one of them actually speaks. The man from the museum is there too. As it turns out, the man and his granddaughter, Bianca, have taken it upon themselves to take care of Latias and Latios, who are the offspring of the great Latios who saved Altimar all those years ago. Meaning the events that led up to this couldn't have happened all that long ago. Making me suddenly wonder why this evil trainer had this world's equivalent of dinosaurs on his team.
Because dinosaurs are awesome!
Okay, point granted.
The short version is that the girl named Bianca is a human person, while the other Latias girl is the real Latias in disguise. Ah, that'll teach you to be subject to gravity! And now it's playtime! Yay, playtime!
There's something strangely fun about just taking a break from the movie to run around and have fun for a while, you know? But this scene does have a point to it other than just being fun.
Here we learn that one of Latios and Latias' powers is called sight sharing, meaning Latios can show Latias whatever he's seeing, and Latias can show anyone around her. Plot point!
And again, spectacle and wonder seem to be the primary focus here, and honestly, it's not that bad. Anyway, back to the story. They give us a few more details about the events that had transpired in the past.
We already know these are the kids of the Latios who saved the town, but the old man goes on to tell us their father, mother, parent thing, actually died in the process back then. No joke, this is a 4Kids dub of something where they actually use the D word.
They then show Ash the Soul Dew, a mystical orb containing the spirit of the deceased Latios and the power source of the defense mechanism.
It must never leave this pool.
Take a wild guess what happens. Although I gotta say, these people are sure placing a lot of stock into Latias' trust of Ash, showing him all these really valuable secrets. I mean, even if he's not some kind of spy, maybe someone could have followed him in here with a tiny camera robot to scout out what he knows, or something silly like that.
Man, it's almost like these characters haven't watched the rest of the show or something. Bianca takes Ash back to town, but Annie and Oakley make their way to the secret garden of Latios and Latias. Oh, and Team Rocket's there too, but no one cares!
They send in their Pokemon to incapacitate the old man and break into the garden. Unlike in previous movies, the legendary Pokemon at work here don't actually have extreme godlike firepower, so Latios is captured, leaving Latias here to make her escape alone.
What's worse is that now these two crazy ladies have complete access to the... wait a sec. And there! They got the Soul Dew. But when they read something about how the defense mechanism will destroy the town and the Soul Dew, they obviously conclude that out of everything they've read up to this point, that part must be made up. Kind of a design flaw there.
So you have this last resort weapon to protect your town, but using it will destroy your town as well as the power source that drives it. I have a feeling someone didn't think everything through all the way. Annie and Oakley activate the machine using both Latios and the Soul Dew, a detail which was never mentioned before, and very easily put the old man and Bianca out of commission when they try to stop them.
Poor guy's gonna get brain damage from all those psychic attacks, man! Latias finds Ash and friends, and Ash takes the time to explain to Misty and Brock what's going on. They take it well. However, the bad guys, girls, whatever, have officially taken control of the big bad DMA.
Luckily, Latios pulls off his sight-sharing trick and shows Ash and company exactly what's going on. First order of business for the baddies, though, is to revive the vicious Pokemon stuck in the floor. See, this is why it's a bad idea for small towns to have their own godlike weapons of mass destruction.
They got no funding for security or countermeasures.
All in all, just a bad investment.
I can control the whole world from in here!
Yeah, she never actually proves that. Anyway, there's no time to lose, as Oakley activates lockdown all over the city, and I gotta say, this is the nicest looking lockdown I've ever seen. Were all those bars built into the city's architecture, or were they materialized out of nothingness?
Does it matter? They're all here now, and Ash and company need to get out before they're trapped inside as well. Ash, Latias, and Pikachu manage to reach the canals, but Brock and Misty don't quite make it. What's worse is that their sudden lockdown didn't give Ash a chance to bring his other Pokemon along.
What's the worst that could happen? That was a freaking cool shot.
Yeah, I guess it was. The first fossil Pokemon, Aerodactyl, is giving them trouble, but they just so happen to pass by the racing floats someone had discarded from the beginning of the movie, and now they have a real fighting chance at avoiding it.
Latias can't carry passengers, you see.
That was established earlier in the movie.
But you know what else was established earlier? She can do this! They managed to lose Aerodactyl, but in another sweet shot, we see the next fossil Pokemon, Kabutops. Things look bad, but who should arrive to offer backup but some of Misty and Brock's Pokemon? Which is the other thing they contribute in this movie. They're done now.
As it turns out, this machine is actually more viable than we had given it credit for. Oakley has already done this much damage, but the town hasn't dried up yet, nor has the Soul Dew been depleted.
But if she pushes her luck anymore, that could change in a heartbeat. Like right here, she's pulling off some heavy-duty water-bending action.
And right here, with these level of effects, I actually don't think CGI looks that bad. It's doing what water does, and in many ways, the droplets, the foam effects, and all of those details, they're combining to do something that the show's level of 2D animation has never been able to do.
Whatever, man. Things look bad, but oh yeah! Latias is a freaking legendary Pokemon, and decides to start acting like it by using a burst of psychic power to stop the attack. And in doing so, makes the control panel go haywire.
Well, big guy, got any fancy words before my rapid-fire wrap-up?
I shall join you again at the conclusion. I shall await your final judgment then. Whatever. Do your thing, Leaf.
Always. Ash frees Bianca and the old man, whose name turns out to be Lorenzo, but the machine is still going crazy, energy attacks do nothing. Then Ash and crew do what they always do in these types of situations, and ram themselves into things, a tactic which has never ever worked. What? Huh. I guess brute force does work from time to time. Anyway, Ash pulls Latios free from the machine, Latios is technically alive, Brock and Misty show up, but when Anne touches the now corrupted Soul Dew, the machine starts back up again, and now's the part where the water starts to recede and destroy the town by coming back in a huge tidal wave.
Worst defense mechanism ever!
But leave it to the Guardians of Altimar to have the solution. With their powers combined, they produce enough counterforce to neutralize the wave, bringing back the water at a safe and manageable pace, but in doing so, Latios gives up the ghost and becomes a brand new Soul Dew. Annie and Oakley are stuck in the machine until the cops arrive. Ash and team head off for their next adventure, leading up to the infamous scene of someone kissing Ash. Was it Bianca or Latias? You decide, because I couldn't begin to care.
The end! Well, Ninja, have you learned anything from this experience?
If I'm gonna be completely honest, yeah, I think I have. Every film has its primary means of engagement. DuckTales was plot, Tiny Toons was character, and the Pokemon movies is spectacle. These are movies that are meant to make you take a step back and go, whoa. Sometimes they don't hit that mark, and sometimes other elements suffer as a result. And while this is no Spirited Away and clearly didn't have a Disney-level budget, this film knew what it wanted to be. Beautiful. And if nothing else, it does that much.
But the plot and character development
weren't that bad. It's true, twists and turns and complex character motivations were not this movie's priority, but they don't always have to be. Yes, I nitpicked a lot from this movie, it's true, because that's just how my brain is trained to critique things, but to be honest, the plot wasn't terrible, and the characters, while simple, weren't incompetently made or depicted. Elements like those were clearly beyond this movie's ability to provide, so rather than try and shoehorn in poorly made twists, They chose to keep those elements simple and focus on what they could provide, a spectacle. I don't expect a lot of people to agree with me, and I can't really give this one the shining recommendation that I gave the third film, but all in all, I have to say this one's become my new personal favorite.
Well done, Ninja. You have learned my lesson well. But do not grow complacent. Many other challenges await you, and you still have much to learn. Learn your craft, and grow.
So, does anyone know what the point of that was? The moral here, folks, you meet some very interesting people on the internet.
Does no one else care that we just met a god Pokemon in this review?
I am the kid movie ninja.
I have seen the light. I will definitely meet a girl in this town.
Just don't hold your breath.